Hi, my name is Charlie, and what you will discover in this video is a mental model, a template for thinking through the crisis of the COVID-19 on a basis of being a business owner or working in an organization which has been affected or is about to be affected by the virus, which are probably almost every organization in the world. If you're alone and watching this video, you can run this entire exercise with me. I'm distributing the template for free in PDF format if you want to print it or directly as a digital tool. And if you're a team, I also include instructions on how to run the exact same template, first individually and then how to compare options as a group. You will see that I'm using a timer all the time because this is a big part of the exercise. Full disclosure, I'm a corporate trainer who's currently quarantined in Spain. Most of my problems are going to be concerning my own business, but I'm putting them for the sake of transparency. And I will speed up every time I'm doing the exercise so that if you want to watch the video and just go faster on to the next step, you can do that. The whole video is probably going to run 4 or 5 minutes. I'll see. But in any case, you can do the entire template without watching the video. This is all included in there. Instructions have been written down. If you have any questions, please send them to me. I'm always happy to answer. I've been running brainstorming exercises for the last 4 years, trained more than 2,000 people on that. So all the things I'm putting there are things I would teach or help my clients with in general. This template is a new thing. I've been testing it with a couple of people and it has been proofread, but I'm not a native English speaker, so there might still be some typo in that. I'm starting the entire thing. I will explain quickly the instructions, but mostly focus on doing the exercise myself. So you will see that normally in 20 to 30 minutes, you can already think a large part of this crisis for your organization. The next steps, the action steps you can take afterwards are up to you, but at least it clears a lot of ground. If you're running that in a group, you can probably take about an hour to do that so that you have time for each individual to run the template and then compare across your options and see what emerge. So the first thing you will see in the template is that I'm explaining a little bit the structure of the blueprint of this template of how to think. And the first step is to prime the mind, meaning we want some information to be in our mind at that moment, anchor our thinking around that, and so we can think better. The second step is going to be brainstorming the problem itself. So we are going to understand the ramifications of the problem for our organization or for our freelance business. That's going to be the most important step because then you will use this part in order to solve this problem afterwards. The third part, sorting the most cost-efficient ideas and transforming them into actions. I'm going to leave that to you. I've included a video if you want to follow a cost-efficient matrix of classification so that you can understand that. But since it takes a little bit longer and I don't necessarily need it myself, I'm going to just put that video, watch it if you're interested, and you can do that afterwards. So I consider that it's about 20 to 30 minutes time. You will just need a note-taking app, which I'm going to use. I'm using Notion in this case because that's brilliant as a tool, or you can do that on paper and with a pen. I'd say it's a level of medium high intensity because you will see you need to be focused for at least 20 to 30 minutes. The table of content just is an anchored link to go faster. So the first stage, priming the mind. Priming the mind meaning we want to understand the state of affairs of this entire COVID-19 on our own organization. And so I've included a number of things I've cut and pasted from articles I've seen. Individual behavioral change, for instance, people are going to change a number of things they do. They are going to be reluctant to occupy a seat or a public space that someone else is occupying. Large events are going to be cancelled. Nothing new in there. For the workplace, these are things I've seen from my clients, but as well things I've seen from different articles. So the workplaces, mostly in Europe at the moment, are abandoned for people to work from home, which means they probably don't always have the tool to work well, or to sign papers, or to take decisions that rely on having multiple people in the hierarchy to help them. So all these things make it harder to do business in general. Additionally, most companies are already seeing big impacts on their business, which means if you're a vendor to these companies, you're selling services, well, your services are going to be affected, etc. The fact of living more from and at home, well, I'm living that firsthand, so I can tell you most of these things are real experiences, but also I'm sourcing this from various articles that I've included in sources at the end. Additionally, since I'm a corporate trainer in strategy of communication, everything related to news consumption, how media works, is of interest for me. So I've added some other things. In terms of service and products change, you will see I've included most of the things we're going to be seeing online at the moment. More purchases online, less payments with cash, more smartphone computer use, all these things that are not new. But read it through, because that's going to help your mind already be in the state of focus you need to solve the next phase. The second step is going to be to use a compass from other explorers, what I call. So people who have been through crisis and probably get a great understanding of that. One quote is from Warren Buffett. I think that's the most interesting. A simple rule dictates my buying. Be fearful when others are greedy, and be greedy when others are fearful. At the moment, I would say 95% of the population and organizations are fearful. So how can we make the best in terms of opportunity out of this mainstream thinking that the world is about to crash? So how do we work with that? Stage 2, and that is the most important for us, using a blueprint to think through the crisis. So step 1 is going to be 3 times 3 minutes. And all the instructions are there. What I'm doing every single time is put a real timer. So I'm putting a timer of 3 minutes in that case to solve the first question. The reason we want to put a timer is because it helps our brain think faster. If you were doing the same thing without a timer, it might take 30 minutes, 40 minutes, an hour for solving the exact same thing. While in 3 minutes, you kind of hijack your own brain and you have to solve that equation very fast. If you're in groups, don't talk. Try to do that individually. That's called a brain writing process. And only once you're good and you all have options on in front of you, then you can share them with the rest of the group. That's going to be much more useful than try to talk your way through. So I'm going to put this 3 minutes timer. The instructions are, what are the things our clients, consumers, and vendors will do differently because of the virus or the fear it causes? So I'm putting as a tagline, general behavior of clients, vendors, consumers, any possibility of doing business, selling, buying, supply chain, financing, marketing, recruiting, all these things that could happen. And the bullet points are simply indicative for you to note a number of ideas. Normally in 3 minutes, you should be able to get about 5 to 6 ideas. So I'm putting my timer myself, run the exercise right now. I'm going to speed that part of the video, but you will discover my answer if you're interested. Otherwise, just run it 3 minutes yourself. Top. Okay, so that was the first step. What are the things our clients, consumers, and vendors will do differently because of the virus or the fear it causes? So I came up myself with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 different options. And for the moment, there are not good or bad options. What we want is a maximum of production so that we can use that afterwards and pick up the most relevant options. What I indicate here is that if you have less than 3 options by the end of this first round, it might mean you're a little bit ashamed to put your things up there. I'm doing that publicly. You won't do that publicly. So if you have a pen, paper, or you're on your note-taking app, don't be afraid. Just produce as much as you want. When you have an idea, even if it's bad, write it down, because then you can just suppress it. The idea is to unload your mind as much as you can so you can sort through the options afterwards. The second step is going to be, how will our organization, if you're a freelance business, how my organization or my business will be directly affected in terms of doing business, which is what is important is directly. Okay. So thinking about what will be harder to do, easier to do, most likely to stop, most likely to emerge and surge, new opportunities to seize, whatever it is, try to write it down. I'm putting again a 3-minute timer, and I will speed up this part of the video. Same way, we're going to try to unburden a maximum, unload a maximum of our mind. That's quantity over quality. Biggest rule of brainstorming, quantity over quality first, and then we'll sort options through. Okay, I'm putting the timer right now. Let's see how that works. So that's it. As you could see, I've left a little bit of time after the timer was done because I was in a state of flow. So I was continuously generating more ideas. That's good. The timer is indicative. You have to fill in as at a minimum 3 minutes. But if you're continuously generating ideas, then just keep the flow going. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, about 12 different options for me. What impact directly my organization? And then that leads us to the third step, which is considering our skills and experience, as well as our current services and products. What are the opportunities for our organization? So in my case, as a freelance corporate trainer, knowing what I do, what are the things that are the most interesting for me to exploit? Think about new options, clients, new method of works, employees' mindset, new skills, new market spaces, competitor struggles that might open new markets for you, and consumers to your organization, new clients in that case. So I'm putting again 3 minutes. We are still thinking through the problem, 3 minutes, and we'll see where that leads. And that's a go. So that's it for this round for me. Once again, 2, 4, 6, 8 answers considering my skill and experience and how I can apply that. What are the opportunities for me? What is interesting in this case, if you've been doing that in groups, is that if you were talking through this entire blueprint, you would probably have 4, 5, 6 ideas maximum in a group of 5 or 6 people. This is what I've been seeing in my entire career in advertising. There's no way when people talk to generate more than 6 to 10 ideas altogether. Right now, if you were doing that in groups, every single one of you have between 10 and 25 different options on the table, which means if you're 5 or 6 people, that's more than 100 different points you've been thinking through. That's an effective manner of doing brainstorming, not talking things through. First, exploiting your own brain, putting everything out there, and then finding a way to classify all these outputs. So that's the second thing. What are the ways to classify ideas? So we're going to select in step 2, the biggest factors of disruptions and opportunities for our company. What I put as instructions is we're going to pick 2 downsides, the biggest downsides for our organization and the biggest upsides for our organization. So I'm going to go through my list, my previous list, and pick up the biggest 2 downsides for my own business. I'm going to do that, fasten a little bit, highlight them, copy paste them in step 3. So step 2, pick up the 2 downsides which are the strongest, pick up the 2 upsides which are the strongest, and then copy paste them in step 3 because we're going to use that to think through solutions. So that's it. I've picked up 2 biggest downsides, problem 1, problem 2, and 2 very good upsides for me, or things I think which are great opportunities, and I copy paste them in step 3. So now what's going to happen? Well, I'm going to solve that once again. In this case, 2 minutes per question. So 2 minutes on this one, 2 minutes on this one, 2 minutes on this one, 2 minutes on this one. And the whole idea is you will see to find solutions with a very practical time frame. How can I mitigate this problem in the next 4 weeks rather than wait and see? Can we mitigate this problem in the next 4 weeks rather than wait and see? And for the upsides, how can we make this happen in the next 4 weeks rather than 6 months? The reason we are compressing the time frame is because your mind is going to be more productive into finding concrete solutions rather than saying we should do something on the very long run. Okay, we want to take decisions and actions pretty fast. So compressing the time frame in your mind is going to be super important. Once again, timer, as many solutions as you want. We don't need to have great solutions at that stage. We just want to have a great number of solutions. And so the timer is helpful for that. If you're interested in the whole theory about or the research behind that, I'll probably include an article with a full course I developed in the past. You don't need to go through that course. It's a free course anyway. I've built for some of my friends, colleagues, and clients. So there's no problem to use it as well. I'm gonna go through my own brainstorming and see how that goes. So talk to you in 4 minutes when I finished with the problems. Okay, so that were 4 minutes for me. How can we mitigate this problem in the next 4 weeks rather than wait and see? In my case, there's a number of actions I can already see happening, reallocating my budget to certain type of projects, contacting my former clients who had projects in need of long-term strategic thinking, and they couldn't do that while they were burdened in this sort of hectic normal life, work life we have. People who are probably also taking decisions are going to be more likely to take them faster if they are high in the food chain because they can't consult everyone else in the company at the moment, and also probably work from home themselves. I'm working a lot with governments and civil servants, and you can have you can be sure that they are also at home at the moment. Even the top politicians of your country are going to be probably soon at home working, which makes us all very equal human beings in that case, and that fills me of a lot of joy, to be honest. Then I'm gonna do the same thing for the upsides. 2 minutes per questions, same thing, and I'm gonna try to come up with a maximum number of ideas. That's my own brainstorming. Once again, 4 minutes. You can skip that and talk afterwards. Okay, so I finished my own brainstorming, and this is the end of thinking about all the problems, the threats, and get some potential solutions. So what you will see in this upsides part are all the opportunities you could exploit, and the big step to take is to focus on the right ones. And on terms of downsides, which are the things that are the most likely to happen, so that I can put in place something immediately to avoid that problem. In my case, that was a direct loss of cash in business. So whether I use the time to do something else, or I change my type of services so as to fit the current business context. I'm a freelancer, independent strategist, so that's easier for me to survive a direct cash loss rather than an organization who has overheads and big spendings every month and who has to continue. A lot of schemes have been put in place by different governments. It depends on your situation and what happens. So at least what we get are the options which are the most actionable from them. The final step, and this is what I won't cover immediately in this video, is to use what we call a cost efficiency model, or in that case, it's a matrix. It has two different parameters. I'm just going to show you on screen how that looks, so you can eventually move to... Okay, I'm not sure if it's going to be... Yeah, it's opening, so that's great. So what we have on a matrix is simple. You have one axis, in that case, the vertical axis, which is for impact. Basically, if you're low in the axis, you have an idea that doesn't have a big impact to solve your problem. You're going to be very low in terms of the vertical axis. So you're going to put your idea around here. If it has a big impact to solve your problem, then you're going to put it very, very on the top of this axis. On the second axis, we have cost. How costly it is to implement that idea. Is that very costly in terms of time? Is that very costly in terms of money? You take both parameters and you put that in the cost here. So if I was to say, I don't know, I need to contact 100 of my clients in cold calling to tell them I'm here and there's a big problem happening, but I'm not going to try to sell them anything, just I'm available. In terms of impact, that would probably be a big impact on my business on the long run, but it will also cost me 100 cold calls, which are 115 minutes cold plus the entire logistics. So I'm going to probably put my ID here. Very high impact, but very high cost. Since I'm an independent person, once again, a solo entrepreneur, that takes a lot of time. I might have a network of 20 or 30 freelancers, but I'm not confident in letting them call my clients that way. So big, great idea, big impact, but big cost. So once you've sorted out all the options, and that is great when you're in a group in that case, because you probably have 20, 30, 40 different actionable steps, and you put them in the board, what's going to emerge is that everything that is very high in impact, but very low in terms of cost in this big square that I'm highlighting right now is going to be the most cost efficient options. Generally, you will have one or two in there. These are the things you should follow, yes or yes. That's a great idea. Now, what happens if you're very high impact, high cost? Well, you will have to focus on only one solution and make a longer term plan, because that's going to be very impactful, but that's going to be more costly in terms of time or money. So you will have to arrange that. What is interesting is that you can drop immediately all the ideas that fall in the low impact, high cost. No one wants to run a low impact, very costly type of option. So you can drop them. If you're in group, don't think about who was generating the idea, just drop it. And finally, low impact, but also low cost. These are the ideas you will be able to merge together to make a larger idea. So more impactful, slightly more costly as well. But that's where ideas who are gathered here can be merged and eventually progress towards this section. But what we're trying to get is this low cost, high impact ideas. The more you brainstorm, the better you will be at finding these ideas. So I'm putting the model here. You can print it. It's an A3 paper. You put it on the wall, you stick it. Or I put as well a video I had recorded in the past using a software called Miro.com. Before it was called Read Time Board. At the time I've recorded this video. So that was a better, just the name change. That's a better way to classify things digitally since you create your own post-it. So you pick up all the options and you classify them. That's it. I hope that particular template helped you. It helps me. I've been running it already once or twice, and each time I get kind of the same options. So I'm building now the tools which are great for me. If you are interested in what I do, you can find a quick biography, but that's not the point of this whole thing. I'm running this blueprint on Notion, a software which is very useful. I'm going to put the printable version as well in this document. It's free to access. And you can share it with anyone you think might benefit it. I do that because simply I do it for myself. Some of my friends, colleagues, clients, partners have been asking for similar models. So I'm putting it out there. And if you want to contribute, change things, add things, suggest other exercises, I'm super happy to include more of that. Good luck. We are all in this together, and I think the best strategy in terms of communication and business in general is to be as helpful as possible. So, well, that's the moment to be helpful towards others. Thank you very much, and talk soon if you contact me. Cheers.